whose name is Allah Light. But when I met him, both of us still didn't have knowledge of someone who was in the death row. As I graduated high school, I went into the military for the Navy. And when I came back after the summer, I came from the Navy, I ran back into the brother, Allah Light. And he said, yo, you heard that the black man is God, you know that one is knowledge, two is wisdom, three is understanding. I said, yeah, I know this from growing up in Now Why, but I never know where it came from, or I never got it from somebody. Where did you get this? Because I've been looking for it. So he said, look, I know this brother basically I've been building with, his name is Shalak from Medina. I'm going to introduce you to him. And Shalak basically said, okay, you want the knowledge? Come build with me basically, bring a composition notebook, and I'm going to give it to you from mouth to ear. And that's how I got it. Now, I traveled around because, again, I was in the Navy and I also went off to college. So I never basically stuck with him and walked through 120 with him. And then also Shalal was dipping and dabbling in different things, and he went off another direction and actually went into the interior section. Again, I was in the military, so I went off another direction and went to college. I went to college down in Northern Virginia, and I met some other guys down there, got a few lessons, but again, I'm still traveling around. So I basically moved back to, so I've been traveling, and I spent 2 years in Iraq, I spent a year in Djibouti, which is north of Somalia, south of Ethiopia. I spent 4 years traveling, working as a contractor for the State Department, so I'm in 4 countries. I finally came back and settled down in Divine Sea around, like 2021. And I got with the guys there at the Parliament. I met the guys, Barking Shamilallah, John Pre Magnetic, Cypher King, Ace Magnetic, and of course Lord Jamel. And all those guys became my doctors, ministers, and nurses, and they got me right. And I also had a lot of cremation because there's a lot of things I didn't learn right in Zach, so they make sure they burn those things and I got it right in Zach afterwards. And I never had a complete set of 120, so I was never able to trace back my tree to the root. But I got a complete set of 120 from Barking Shamilallah and make sure he walked me through to make sure I got the history. So I understand he got it from Father Lord Leah, he got it from El Nahim here from Mecca, he got it from Black Messiah, which traces me back to Allah. So now I completed my tree, and I got the 120, so I got that on cat. And that's part of my history. Now, I'm about to build on something, so I'm basically going through this stuff to show how I'm qualified. When I was in the military for the Navy, I did 20 years. So I got 30 years basically with knowledge of self. I got 20 years in the Navy, I retired. I worked doing information warfare in the Navy. Pretty much I was like James Bond with a keyboard. I knew how to basically hunt down people, target them, take them out. And with that being stated, the God of Allah Infinite brought to me a question. He says, what do you think about the internet and is the internet smart? And he hit me with the question, and I sat back and I was like, damn, that's a good question. And I'm like, I haven't been hearing about this, like this is what people have been building on. He was like, yeah, this is a good question, yo, do you think the internet is smart? So I said, okay. Another thing I forgot to bring up and mention is that, after I got 20 years basically working in the military, doing cybersecurity, also got a degree in Bachelor's of Science doing business administration. So I have a degree in IT, minor economics, and I'm pretty much been working doing cybersecurity.
You said the internet is smart?
Right. Is the internet smart is the question. Yes, and that's what I'm about to build on. But first I'm laying the foundation in the background. So I'm basically going to show my qualifications for the subject. So I've been doing cybersecurity, IT, you can also call it IT security for the last 20 years as well. That's what I was doing in the military. And if you look at the term cybersecurity, because people ask that question, there's two words there very quickly. Cyber is basically the interconnection of all digital worlds, okay? And when you talk about security, you got people that work security in the mall, and they're trying to protect and defend the merchandise, the patrons, and people who are trying to steal it, right? So we put the words together. Cybersecurity is basically protecting and defending the networks from people that's trying to steal the data or trying to harm the system. Okay, just that simple. So I also started teaching 3 years ago cybersecurity online, and I teach for colleges basically. I work with a program, and they have agreements and partnerships with universities all across the country. So I teach classes at New York University, North Carolina University, University of Miami, University of Central Florida. I've taught at Long Beach in California, San Diego University, UNLV, so I teach a lot of college level students, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s. And I've been doing this for the last 10 years. So I may have taught 1,000 people now in cybersecurity. Everything is, and it's interestingly how we talk about we have the 8 foundational lessons, right? Supreme Math, Supreme Alphabet, student enrollment, English is lesson number 1. Loss of found Muslim lesson number 1. Loss of found Muslim lesson number 2. Actual facts and the soul facts. There's also 8 courses in the cybersecurity program to teach. So it kind of like a lot of that to a mathematics. So with that being stated, again, I've been teaching cybersecurity. I've been doing it in the military. I've done a lot of operational work. Now to the question, is the internet swine? Well, what is the internet, first of all? The internet simply it's a medium of exchanging information and for people to communicate. Whenever there's information that needs to be communicated, you have somebody that's speaking and is sending the message, and somebody who's listening and receiving the message. And the internet facilitates that. The internet basically connects people all over the world, and they're able to basically now communicate messages and exchange information every day. You know, we can send a message right now from off our phone, from off the computer here in New York, and it could be over in Japan in 8 seconds, or to somebody in Antarctica. So the internet basically, again, is a medium of exchange. Just how the nation of 5%, we are very versed and literate in basically being able to read things. We go to the supermarket, right? And we pick up something, we say, okay, let me do the analysis of this and let me read the label. Is there anything gelatin or glycerin on here, right? This is swine, this is harmful, this is the wrong food. Let me put it back down and not deal with this, okay? And it's the same type of discernment and the same wisdom we need to be applying when we look at the internet. Are there things harmful on here? Yes. But is the whole entire internet harmful? No, the same way the whole entire supermarket is not harmful, okay? Now, when you look at today's mathematics, right, wisdom, when we go to the supreme alphabet, you got wisdom, which is basically victory, right? And you can say that, okay, well, how do you be victorious in something, okay? You can look at the art of war. The art of war applies here. This is going back to the military. This is all built all together. So in the military, we look at the art of war. The art of war tells you in the first chapter, you gotta lay plans. When you lay plans, the first thing you do is you strategize. You basically reflect on information, and then you use that information to design a plan, and then you apply and execute that plan. That is wisdom. And so long as you're laying plans and you execute a well-laid plan, you can be victorious in your battle. Now, in the art of war, also in this first chapter where it talks about laying plans, it talks about you can tell who's going to win the battle based on a general that has made many calculations in their mind before the battles began. If you fail to make a plan and if you fail to basically assess the battlefield, you probably will be defeated. So very simply, we can say the art of war just means knowledge precedes victory and ignorance precedes defeat. The art of war also goes on to say that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you'll be victorious in all your battles. If you only know yourself and don't know your enemy, you may only win half your battles. But if you don't know yourself and don't know your enemy, you will be defeated in every battle. Why? Because you're ignorant. You lack the knowledge, right? And basically, what is knowledge? Accumulation of facts. So basically, you have to accumulate facts. So again, the internet is its place. It's a medium of exchange. But also, the internet is a battlefield. It is a tool that can be used for both positive and negative. But it depends again on the mindset and the designs of the people that's behind it. You have something like a knife, a sharp knife that's laying in the kitchen. You got a culinary chef that can pick up this. As a case in example, you have a culinary chef that can pick up this knife, they can ask you what's your dietary code, and they can cut up something, and basically whatever they cut up, they can prepare a nutritious meal that's according to your dietary code that be helpful, nutritious, and sustain you. But then if somebody who's a psychopath and a serial killer can pick up that same knife and use that tool to stab up somebody in harm. So again, is the knife basically inherently evil or swine or bad? No, the same way the internet is not. Again, it all depends on the mindset and the design and the intent for the mind of the person holding that tool or using that tool. Okay? And that's the same thing with the internet. When you go to our lessons and you look at the equality degree of the 110 of the student enrollment, it asks, what are the exact square miles of useful land used every day by the total population of planet Earth, right? Answer, the exact useful land is used every day by the total population of planet Earth is 29 million square miles. You got the wisdom, again, discernment, judgment, using that knowledge and applying it, and you're born something, bringing it to existence, right? So how is the total population of the planet Earth basically using that wisdom, applying that knowledge, and then bringing something into existence completion? Well, there's many ways to draw it up, right? We know we use the black woman, we can say is our wisdom, to basically bring forth life, right? But when you look at nations, and you look at how the total population, indeed, well, God, symbolic, part of self, God, symbolic. You can say symbolic, okay? So, So when you talk about the total population of the planet Earth, how are they basically using all of the land, right? Is that's what Mars. And you know, when you look up the definition of useful land, there's many different ways that some governing bodies carve up the land. Some will say, okay, we're going to assign some land to be commercial use, right? We're going to build businesses here. We're going to facilitate commerce. When you look at a lot of the U.S. government, what do they do with commercial space? They carve out highways and they build highways, right? To do what? To facilitate commerce. How? There's people that's producing goods that's going to sell it, and there's people that want to buy goods. So they make sure the goods get from the places in the commercial centers to the places people want to buy, right? You got also, you can designate useful land to be residential land. We could build homes for shelter. You got useful land that can be designated as recreation. You can set up parks, you can set up a baseball field, basketball field, people are going to use it, right? And then you can set up land designated as agricultural, right? And you can use that to basically produce and grow food. The internet is also somewhat of a virtual land, okay? The businesses are online and they're able now to produce goods here in America, and they might have more customers that's overseas because the people are overseas, they're buying the goods from over the internet. So the internet is facilitating commerce and is basically, closing the communication gap across the world. All right? So people are able to leverage the internet to basically facilitate commerce, and people becoming very wealthy. There was a time basically back in. Okay. Born Justice gave an announcement the March Parliament is paid for everyone. So there's a lot of people who's becoming wealthy. It was back in the early 2000s where if you look at the stock market, and you look at the market cap of certain companies, the top 4 wealthiest companies in the world are all energy companies. And now you flip to 2010, 2020, and the top 4 wealthiest companies are all internet technology-based companies. Apple #1, Nvidia #2, Microsoft #3, and Amazon #4. And they're all facilitating commerce and they're amassing a massive amount of wealth basically from the use of the internet. All right? The internet is a tool. It's not inherently evil. It's a supermarket. And there's things on there we have to be discerning again with our wisdom on what's helpful and healthy and what's harmful and not. So we have to be on the internet because again, it is a battle space. It's a battle going on. And the 5% is locked in an internal perpetual battle with the 10%. And our lessons, it tells us that who is the 5% of the poor part of planet Earth, right? It says that they are the poor righteous teachers who don't believe in the teachers of the 10%, who are all wise. That's the first thing, all wise. So we should be understanding how we need to battle no matter where it happens at, okay? They're all wise. We don't believe in the teaching of the 10%, so we should be looking where the 10% is teaching and be countering them and battling them, right? And being all wise and doing it. And then also what it's supposed to say, who are all wise and know who the true and living God is. And teach that the true and living God, right? So they teach. And it mentions teach twice in that degree, right? Because then it comes back and says we teach freedom and justice and equality to all the human family on the planet Earth. So another point example of how the internet is useful and how harmful is, it used to be a time back in the 70s and 80s that the 5% would spend countless days, hours, and nights in the library studying. But now all of the knowledge of the human family is uploaded on the internet. The whole library is all on the internet. So, the times has changed. We could be on the internet siphoning that information. Now, going back to applying the 5 and the 10% battle, the 10% what? They're the rich, slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies. The 5% is going to teach the truth. The 10% is going to teach the lies. The 10% is online, and we know they're using it to teach lies. But with 5% also needs to have a presence on that internet space, battling to assure we have victory to protect the truth. Protect or fight for the truth and protect the youth. Okay? When you go back to the 1 to 14 and you look at the 12th degree, right? It talks about what's the meaning of the FOI, right? The fruit of Islam. This is the title given to the military training men belong in Islam in North America, right? So let's break that down. You got a couple of words in there. You got military. It comes from the Latin word militarist, talking about war. We got training in there. You're instructing your training. So what are you instructing training with the military? You're arming soldiers for war. And then what does it say, the fruit of Islam? Well, what is the fruit? The fruit is a product. You have to plant a seed. You have to tend to that plant to make sure the weeds don't overtake it, or is it basically not scorch or burn? And you have to protect that fruit so it can grow. Are not the children the fruit? The children are the best part. So we have to basically be on the internet, battling, using our training to make sure we protect the fruit from what? From the harmful effects of anything that may be out there, especially on the internet. Right? countering the lies. Now, there's a lot of other positive ways we can be using it. And let me give a shout out. There's a lot of good people who are being soldiers in their own mind, and they're basically, promoting the truth. One to start off with is General Bashek and Kate Green. They started a website called the5%nation.com. Okay? It's a resource. It's a resource where we can promote our teachings that are right in this act, just so the youth has some, well, anyone, the youth, but anyone can go in there and see teachings and see what's right in this act of what we teach. Instead of hearing it from the 10% or someone else who's tampering, mixing, diluting what we teach, right? So we should have a space on there where it's a resource so people can basically get that information and see it. And then also reach out to us, because again, we know what our rites of passage and what we do tradition is, the way we give it is, you gotta walk and talk with it, right? So again, it's just a resource on there. And we can build with the God, General Bashik here, more about that website if you have any questions on it. But shouts out to them. There's a lot of other people that's online. Allah Shah, shout out to him, right? Because he teaches the classes on Saturday, and he also streams them on Facebook. There's many people all around the world that's using the internet again to what? Receive information, right? And we want to make sure that we're on there and the people can get it that's where it's right as at. Because we're battling for what? The 85% of our human family, right? That's lost. Or they don't know the truth, and they always see the lies. But how are we countering all that? So, I built on the art of war, right? Knowledge precedes victory, weakness precedes defeat. You gotta know your enemy. You know what the enemy's doing. But we can't let them outmaneuver us. In the military, they also teach you about the information domain basically is a domain that needs to be dominated, right? You got many different domains of warfare. You can fight on land, you can fight on air, you can fight on sea, and you can fight an information domain for the cognitive mind, right? The control of minds, or the wind of minds, right? They said wind of minds and hearts. So, when I was in the military, we would send messages basically to tell people, like, you need to leave out of the area, something about to go down. Or we can tell people, hey, you need to go to this area so we can set them up to get them. That's how it works. Again, positive and negative. It depends on the intent of how you're using the tool. Okay? It's not all inherently bad or negative. So, again, you got people online that you should be supporting and promoting. Again, General Bashik, Kate Green. I see the guy, Born Almighty, out in Houston. He's posting a lot of memes and things every day on Instagram. I talked about Allah Shah, basically, streaming things on Facebook, which is a great thing. Of course, Allah Infinite. He runs the Allah School in Mecca YouTube page, which is great. A lot of people reach out to us that way. I see Lord Supreme, Wise Mind Allah. He's always on social media everywhere, and he's putting out great information. So, I want to give a shout out to all those people. And there's a lot more, but I just can't name more of them right now. But those are just a few, again, like I said, I want to shout out. That's waging the battle and fighting the good fight on the internet. And we have to be there. We cannot see that space. Now, adding on to what all the other guys are building on, these children are growing up what they call digitally native. They live that. Before they can even walk and talk, they got a cell phone and a tablet in their hand and an iPad. This is where they live. And what did Allah say on the Otisville interview? As the times change, you must change. Because if you don't change, you're going to die. Kids is not on the corner, they're online. I mean, not all of them, but the majority of them, right? A lot more of them are online than they're on the corner, so how are we reaching them? A lot of mathematics is talking about that. We need to be online. We're losing here in Mecca. My mother was born and raised here in Mecca. She left when she was 9 years old. She grew up Catholic, so she didn't take to our culture, but she's here from Mecca. So I got roots through my old earth that way. And then my dad, he was from Sacred Seed, and he met my old earth in Atlantic Towers on Atlantic Ave. My dad knows about the 5%, so that's how I kind of knew about it. He told me about the 5% growing up. He didn't take to the culture, but he had knowledge himself because he has the first edition of Message to a Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, green hardcover, and he gave that to me when I was 15. And I did the knowledge to me. He gave me How to Eat to Live, and he gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X. And so I was 15. You know what I mean? So I asked him that knowledge planted in me from my old dad. But the whole point is, again, the internet is an information domain, and we cannot see that space. When we're talking about war, and we are in eternal, perpetual war. The 5 is locked in with the 10%. It's going to be ongoing. The times have changed, and the 10% is trying to dominate that space, that battle space. Okay? So we're just going to secede and just give it up because we say it's swine and we're just not going to deal with it. I say emphatically now, Cypher. We shouldn't be doing that. All right? So there's a lot more things I could go into, but again, if you have more questions, you want to build with me more about this, you can hit me up on my Instagram, which is Master IC, spelled Master I-E-Y-E-C-E-E, God, one word. You'll find me on there. The way I draw it up basically is, a master is one who knows and understands themselves. You got to spend a considerable amount of time knowing yourself. So you'll master yourself, because if not, you don't master yourself, you become a tool and a slave, right, for someone else. It's the same thing that's happening on the internet, right? We allow the children to be manipulated and become a tool and a slave, right? And then what else also does the degree say? The equality degree, basically, in 114, it says, why does the devil keep our people literate? So we can use them as a tool and a slave. He keeps them blind to us so we can master them. Literate means ignorant. Illiterate is what? You cannot really read. Ignorant is a multiple definitions for it. You lack knowledge and you lack facts, or you're ignoring the facts. And right now we're ignoring and lacking knowledge on how to effectively use the internet and communicate our message and make sure we're being at peace with the magnetic on the internet to attract them. The same thing like the law of mathematics was just saying. We gotta be doing it. And we need to be listening to the babies and the youth, like my man Prince said, because they'll come over here and show us how to do it. So, that's what's going on. We need to be on this battle space.
Can you tell me the website?
Yeah, the 5%nation.com.
Because maybe someone don't know about that.
Right, that's the God Journal she did. I think I mentioned when you stepped out about the website. Yeah. Also, let me give a shout out to Minister Freedom and ICU out in D-Mecca. We need to bring the God in the Earth podcast back. That was another great platform online, which a lot of people, learned about the truth of the 5%, and it attracted a lot of people to us. In fact, the brother that's sitting right here, Wise Born, he was the one that reached out to Minister Freedom, and Minister Freedom put in touch with the guys from Victory Law, and that's how he came to be here today. So that's another case and example, telling the truth. Oh, one other thing, let me say this. I got 2 public service announcements too. The first one is to the human family that's out there, because I read the comments on YouTube and other different places. They say we speak gibberish. We do not speak gibberish. Here's the problem. In any nation, there's a land, there's a flag, there's a culture, and there's a language. We're a nation within a nation as far as the 5%. We have our own language we speak. Although you hear us using English words, there's still different meanings to the words we're using. So you just don't understand what we're saying. I was riding on the bus one day and I heard a girl speaking Spanish. She was half Spanish, half English, going back and forth. I couldn't understand what she was saying, even though she was using English words, because I'm missing the context of the whole conversation. It is no different with us. You need to come meet with us and build. You say that the 5% is just talking gibberish, we're not doing anything. I've already produced a presentation talking about media literacy. Exactly what I'm talking about. Battle for these minds, what? To make them literate so they understand how to access and be responsible being online and what the dangers are online. And this is something we need to be basically teaching in the schools. So I'm working on a program where I can take this presentation I've already been paid to do to start working in the schools that actually do that and teach media literacy. So the 5% is doing things. We're building it. Everything I just talked about, I'm not just up here talking about it. I'm actually actively working on doing something. And having a whole media literacy campaign so the children know and understand how to be responsible being online and the harmful effects, and how to avoid the harmful effects, and how to read the labels. Just like I said, just like the guys know how to go in the supermarket, and we make sure we don't consume harmful, wrong foods, right? It's the same thing along. All right, and so yeah, that's the one thing for the PSA. Come build with us. We are doing a lot of things that you just don't know about, and you just don't understand. Once you can say the word for language is land gauge. You know you're in the right place, and you can walk amongst the land and say the language. Come build with us. Second PSA, for the 5%. There's many stories we hear from the older guys, but they said a lot told us, if y'all two got an argument, go around the corner, handle it, come back and agree on something to build. We need to do the same thing online. Do not basically go at your other brothers online or sisters. Go direct message, call them up, meet them in person, have that conversation. Do not do it online. Also, there's a lot of trolls online and they will bait you. Twitter fingers turn into trigger fingers want to be Twitter fingers, but all that energy they got, basically with that anatomy online, they ain't gonna bring it in real life. So don't basically give into it, don't feed into it, ignore them. All right, so 5%, don't fall for the bait. There's trolls on there and they trying to bait you and trying to get you riled up. Use the intellect over the emotions. And with that, I'll say peace.
Hey! Come in the name of Lord's mathematics and foundation business. First order of business is for those of you who applied for the Cooper Scholarship Program through the Office of Cultural Management. As you see, emails were sent to everybody because 53 people were removed from the scholarship program. Listen, these scholarships is free. That comes with certification in these digital fields. All right, Google asks us to make sure that we have over 50% of active participants, you know what I'm saying, who have been enrolled into our program. Those that was not active in these programs within the last 3 to 5 months have been removed. If you want to go back and continue to take these certifications again, all you have to do is sign in to Coursera.org. You'll say submit your email and your password, and it will start you back off where you was at. Don't forget, we received 500 scholarships to give to everybody. All right? We have to make sure that people are actually active in these programs that we have. Again, these certifications come with employment. For those who do not know, Google will work with you, let you know who's hiring in your area, where you rest at. You know what I'm saying? And they will also walk you inside the door. When you go through the videos, they will explain everything that they're going to do to you if you take IT security, IT support, data analytics, digital marketing, e-commerce, and UX design. So again, for those of you who have been removed from the program, you can get access to it again. All right, get your email address and your password. Again, these scholarships is only going to be free to December 31st of 2025. After that, you'll have to pay for it. So get them while it's free. Next, Office of Cultural Management comes out with a newsletter every quarter. And let you know what's going on in all the regions. Anybody who has any information that want to add on to there, see a lot of Justice of Divine Prince. These newsletters is informative. You know what I'm saying? As you know, this one is about the slaves of the state and the 13th Amendment and mass incarceration. As you know, there were several states, Nevada, California, I believe it was Idaho, and I think there were 6 states altogether who had slavery on their ballot this past election. We need to be informed. Our children need to be informed. So we strive to bring you information that's beneficial, you know what I'm saying, not just to you, but to our youth, and their youth going into the future. Yes?
You said, current events, you said there's 6
States
that did what?
that had slavery on the ballot. What happened is, if you're incarcerated, they have a right to enslave you. For those that do not know. Don't forget, the 13th Amendment has to be passed every some amount of years. I can't remember every exact amount of years. All right? If they're going to keep on, you know what I'm saying, enslaving people that's incarcerated. So this is pertinent information for people to read. Say it again? If you commit a felony. If you commit a felony. Those of you who know people that came home, all right? As you know, the Clean Slate Act came into effect this year for New York State. After you do 7 years,
What did it do? What did it do?
I can't even
What did it do?
speak up.
He said, what does it do?
The Clean Slate Act is something like the certificate of good conduct, the certificate of rehabilitation. What it is that it gives you certification to be able to go get a license if you want to open up your own company. Because when you have a felony, you're not able to get a license to have your own business. All right? There's certain things you're not allowed to go buy your own home. I went to the United Justice Summit at the Jacob Javits Center last year. That was last year. And they explained how certain people at home for 20, 25 years, if they want to go buy a home, they can't buy a home. So the fact of certain things will become ready that prevent them from being able to do a home. From buying a home. So,
Clean slate, what?
huh?
The Clean Slate.
The Clean Slate Act protects you from that. It doesn't protect those who murder in the first. Those are the only people that's not protected. If anybody want any information, they can come to me and I will give you more information than that. But also, you can file for a certificate of good conduct or certificate of rehabilitation. A certificate of rehabilitation is for those who've been convicted of only one felony, you know what I'm saying, has been home for a certain amount of years, whether it be 3 years for C, D, or E, or 5 years for A or B. Huh? 5 years. You can file for certificate of good conduct. Clean Slate Act, you have to be home for 7 years. And what's good about the Clean Slate Act, Governor Hospital put in place that you don't have to submit an application. It automatically, as long as you're not in trouble, it wipes your criminal record clear from employees to be able to see it. In 2015, Mayor de Blasio came out with the Fair Chance Act, and this is another form of the Fair Chance Act that's taking place.
Well, the right is the right to vote.
Pardon me?
Is the right to vote.
Yes, you can vote.
So you don't see no problem with the vote. And I'm just that question.
No, you can vote. You have a right to vote. Most states has now paid. Look, let me tell you how serious it got. That most Republicans want people incarcerated to be able to vote now. I think that was put somewhere in Florida. You know, they to be able to have people in Florida be able to vote. Yes.
Is it important for us to get involved in the politics world?
I need somebody who has better knowledge of that because I'm the one who doesn't really I pay attention to politics, but I'm not the best one to speak on it. So I have to check with the better knowledge.
YouTube.
I'm on the ballot for Greensboro president. Two, boss, she may want to teach you a law. But to answer your question, I've been with you. But yes, politics, regardless of whom or what, if you don't deal with politics, politics deal with you. This school right here is taken over by grants by the NYC government. If you don't deal with politics, politics deal with you regardless. Peace.
Wait a minute, you're on the ballot for what?
For Greensboro president, to be president of the borough of Queens. Pardon me, this is my student right here. This is my campaign assistant for the youth. He's now 12 years old.
I was standing in school, and older brother and sister came to school. There was Republicans, they were saying, Republicans, this, that, and other. And I'm standing in Georgia now. Then now Jalal came in, he stood there, I was already in there. He stood there, he said, he started speaking, we don't deal with politics, so and so. Allah said, shut up and listen. He said, shut up and listen. That's right. But we don't deal with politics. But in other words, listen, be polite enough to listen. But when he finished, he knew he wasn't dealing with politics anyway.
Yeah, but the father dealt with politicians
Oh, yeah, I know.
because that's how the world works.
So moving on to my next bill.
Let that God finish building. Don't disrespect him. Let him finish building. If you got something to say, get up there and say it.
Ever since
I'm not the matter. Bill.
Ever since September 2020, I said I'm already going to come forward to let y'all know where we at when it comes to prefab building. Account, prefab building in this account. $7,160 in that account. As you know, the Office of Coach and Management is now working with the Law School Development. The Office of Coach and Management is now working with the Law School Development Team, which also consists of the Core 5. We have plans that were submitted to the Department of Buildings, and now we have sent out RFPs to 7 contractors to be able to bid on the revitalization of the law school. The joists, the floors, all the work that needs to be done to revitalize so that school could last another 100 years. Revitalization, that means if it has to be gutted, they see that it has to be gutted, they will gut it. Decision has to be made yet. You know what I'm saying? Even though the plans have been submitted to the Department of Building, we now submitted these RFPs and requests to these contractors, so these contractors can bid on this project. The cream is going to be more information to cover.
I'm not gonna be long at all. I want to make, I'm working. Peace. Just briefly, as regard, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm squinting a little bit, but, this is regard, indicating, we have gotten responses, we've begun to get responses, from. Alright, so, we had our first visitor, so now contractors are responding. We had our first visitor on,
Wednesday,
the 18th. A company came through, I took them on a tour, and I made clear that they understood that, you know, this project means a lot to a lot of people that did a lot of things to impact our community. And so we're going to continue that messaging. So right now, we are keeping a list of all the people who visit the site, and ultimately, once that visit is over, the follow-up begins, and then the bids are going to start coming in. No decisions have been made. How many contracts we got? Seven. And so we are setting up some more site visits that's going to occur after the holiday season. And we have a list of all the contractors that have bidded, so that list will be available. You'll be able to see the date that they submitted their interest, the date that they actually visited, and what our decision was. So those lists are being kept, and I'm looking forward to it. Just to be able to walk into the guts of that building that we all grew up in, and talk about the history and the whole process of deciding who's best fit for doing this project is an exciting process, I must say. So that's about it. Anything else we need to cover?
Just want to add another thing onto that. People was also asking if they do construction, would they also be able to participate on this project?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So of course, you know, all skilled laborers amongst us will be given an opportunity to participate. Obviously, right? That's obvious. So we have a process in place for that. Right, but that's down the line, Down the line, we will have a construction apparatus in place. It's not set up yet, because there are opportunities for us as a nation to participate in the building of this community. So that is underway. But for now, all skilled guards and the best those on our team who handle construction can better build with you on that, but certainly we will be offering opportunities for skilled, licensed, qualified labor, absolutely. So that's it for now. I just want to be brief. Any questions?
They have to have a license in order to participate.
Well, again, the best knows of construction within the 4-5 extended, they have the protocol in place to make sure that we don't do any violations in the process, because that's what we don't want.
I'm saying the laborers have to be licensed also.
Like I said, God, they will make the best decisions. In some roles you're gonna have to have a license, but there will be other work available.
You have certification.
Pardon?
You have to have certification.
It depends on what job, what role it is, God. But we want our nation working. We definitely want our nation working.
You still got to get the paper on.
Pardon?
It's wrong or not, you still got to get certification to work.
Oh, absolutely, God. Let's do this. You got to qualify. The best knows that we do this work.
The vision is to create a construction company on the law new center in Mecca, and then have those with particular type of skills come under that. They are protected to be able to perform those skills. That's the vision.
That's down the line. All right, so let's go.
Yes. No.
Well, those funds have been identified, and they're the first objective for us right now with this overall project is to shore up that building. It needs to be shored up properly before we do any expansion or anything. So that's the phase that we're at right now. Yes, if the funds have been identified and allocated to the side. All right, peace.
I have a Mark King Wise coming up here, and he's going to build on the national conference that's coming up in 2025.
Let me see him over there. Come here, Jim. See, man, how are you
King Wise. Today's mathematics, wisdom. That's always the always do. Almighty God love. Right man, just to see, first born. Thank you for seeing people on the desert all over and abroad. And so let me go and think about the internet or the national conference. It's been in planning for some time now. And so it's been solidified as far as the location for the conference. I know like back in October, my Black Sea Okay, my Black Sea born reality.
Baby. Yeah, so, the God Born Reality was up here back in October saying that there was talks about the location. So the location has been solidified. And so Divine Prince got this drawn up. It's available for people to see and do the knowledge to what it's about. So you can see it for yourself, do the knowledge for yourself. You know, wisdom is the wise words as well as the ways and the actions. And so before I continue to go on the bill, I want to just introduce some young brothers that I brought with me because this is nation building for me, as always, is the young. So this is the young guard right here. He just got his right, his name today as he was coming up here. He's on Supreme Alphabet.
Peace, y'all. Just want to say, I appreciate y'all for, you know what I'm saying, accepting me and everything like that. And
We appreciate you.
I live my life. Appreciate you.
Hey.
25. Original Life, Tyler.
Peace to the gods and earth. I be the God divine mind, don't see Allah. Wisdom in my physical degree like today's mathematics. So I see a lot of familiar faces from this time last year, Glad to see that the nation is still building, Peace. I said peace with that.
Peace. So, like I was saying about wisdom is going to allow your knowledge to be seen and heard. So that's what it's about, and keeping the nation moving forward, as a lot of the guards was just building on prior to me. And that's the importance of the conference. Some say national conference, some say international conference, in regards to the regions that exist. And that is so important for some people. For some people, it might not be important. But for those who see it as being an important bill, it's based off the fact that the young, as we continue to go and advance into the future with technology, we're going to have to stay relevant as the 5%, as the law's 5%, as the gods in the earth, we have to stay relevant. And there's certain people who possess certain skill sets, such as the God, General Bashir, and technological savviness, as well as Mega. These different brothers is keeping us in the forefront of social media so that we can be what? Seen and heard everywhere. But then you got some others who might still be on the street and interacting in the community. And just yesterday, matter of fact, in Charlotte, which we call it C Mecca, also was known as Queen City by Agard and now Allah. When they were there, we had an event for the children in the community, which we do every day. We basically build it with young people on a regular basis in the name of Allah and the 5%. And that's all praise due to all of us, because the higher power is all of us. Not one individual, but the collective building of all of us. And of course, we all not going to get along. That's just nature. Conflict is a part of nature. Without conflict, you're not going to grow. It's just like a little baby. If a little baby don't catch a cold, the immune system don't develop. So the key is how you manage the conflict, though. You got to go through it, because if you get stuck in it, then you stagnate and there's not gonna be no elevation. But you already know that. I ain't gotta keep going on that. So I wanna bring this up, because last year I brought it up and I'm gonna continue to bring it up if I come to the December Parliament. This was my big brother and father mentor last Parliament that he attended before he physically left this physical plane. And I'm talking about Freedom Allah, who the world knows as Papa Wu, but to his family, he's known as Freedom Allah. And this was the last Parliament that he attended before he left. So that means something did to me. So I always try to bring the young ones to commemorate that. Because why? The God was a great prolific builder that touched many people. And of course, anytime you are a great builder, it also comes with great opposition. Anytime you present yourself to go teach Allah's teaching, you put yourself in danger. You put your physical life in danger when you are on the front line to teach this. Because why? You got to stay relevant to the young. Your wisdom can attract or it's going to repel. It's only going to do two things. It's going to either attract or repel. So says the wisdom degree and the meat lesson. How old was the family? Right? He was playing with 2 pieces of steel. He discovered these things. But now us as the gods is how do you use your wisdom to be beneficial? Fruitless conversation is not going to bear fruit. So you got the polarity of wisdom. You got some wisdom that's going to bring about growth and development, elevation. Then you got some wisdom that's going to bring about destruction. You understand? And the only time you want to deal with destruction is when we have to serve justice to anyone who is not in accordance to Allah's mathematics. That's really the only time you want to use that type of wisdom. Any other time, we want to be bringing the young ones up. And as always, when you are teaching on the front line, what you get to see is a lot of young ones losing their life. This is what I experience all the time. It's like trauma. You understand? When you get a phone call, yo, the young boy just got killed. You know he just got killed. These are phone calls I get all the time. You understand? And it's like, yo, you gotta go cold to those type of things. Because why? If you don't stay mathematically aligned, it can cause you to have mental health issues. Because if you care about these young brothers and they losing their life, it's like they your son, they your little brother. So this is why I take all of us, the older brothers, the younger brothers, those in the middle, it takes all of us. We in a certain day and time where the whole world watching us, whether we know it or not. We on Facebook. That's the whole world watching. YouTube. That's the whole world watching us. And you know why the whole world is watching us? Because they want to see and hear what we got to say. They want to see and hear what we are doing, whether they like it or not. Whether they like us or not, they still pay attention to what we say. Because what we're saying is still magnetic. But what repels them is when they don't see the unity amongst the gods. When they see the gods bickering and beefing amongst each other, say, yo, they're moving like gangsters. That's what the gangsters do. The gangsters bickering and beefing amongst themselves, tripping on each other over, how the God was saying, words. They conflicting and killing each other over frivolous bullshit. That once the individual lose their life and the other one get locked up, he crying when he get locked up. Now he want to turn to religion. He want to become holy and all of that, and then get back out and go what? Right back in. But whose fault is that though? It's our fault. You may say, well, how is it your fault? How many young people do you teach? How many young people have you taught in the last 30 days? These are the things that you have to ask yourself. And this is not to talk down on nobody. It's called constructive criticism. And what is the constructive criticism? It's for us to deal with self-examination. And that self-examination allows us to look at certain things and say, you know what? We got to change that. And change is hard though. Because in your mind, you might think you're doing something right. But if you're losing the attention of the children, that lets you know you are not doing something right and exact. Because Allah had the magnetic attraction that caused the children to want to be like Him. And when you truly walk as Allah in adhering to His mathematics, you're going to attract children. You are going to attract the young people. It is a part of the formula. And then, if you're not attracting the young, you don't need to be on the sideline trying to criticize what's going on with those that are attracting the young. The best thing to do is to give them constructive criticism, to come to them with a warm current of love and say, yo, listen, G, listen, young my man, maybe you should do it like this. You understand? If you use the right type of wisdom, you can still correct their error and get things right. But if you come with the wrong current, you're going to repel them. They don't want to hear that shit. You understand?